Let's go. Yeah!
This is the Morning Swim Show for Friday, July 22nd, 2011. I'm your host, Peter Bush. In the Finesse Monitor today, we'll talk to our good buddy, John Lohn. He's the senior writer for Swimming World, the magazine. He's getting ready for his trip to Shanghai, where he will cover the World Championships for us. John Lohn joins us right now in the Finesse Monitor. Hey, John, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Peter. How about yourself?
Doing well, thanks. Interesting predictions. Let's start with the women first. It doesn't look like the U.S., outside of Rebecca Soni, has a sure thing for a gold. You agree?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing on the women's side is, and just in swimming in general, the depth is better than it's ever been. So for one country to now dominate with a ton of gold medals, I just don't think we're going to be in that era anymore. I think we're going to see, if you look at Kersey Coventry, we've seen Zimbabwe win gold. You have all the European nations. You have the U.S., the Australia. It's a spread the wealth sport now.
The women look like the American women. They look like they're really weak in the freestyle. I'm looking over your predictions, and you don't have any gold medals going to Americans, except for Chloe Sutton in the 1500. But especially in those sprint, the things that are so important to relays, there's just a lack of depth right now in American sprinting on the women's side. And some could say on the men's side.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I think we have some quality sprinters, but we don't have that hammer sprinter that like the Netherlands has, where they have just studs up top. I think the U.S. has some very good ones, and that's what could keep them in these relays.
We need to remind people, as we're taping this interview, we still do not know the conclusion of hearings for people like Cesar Cieloapos, who obviously most swim fans would love to see him swim in Shanghai. I mean, it'd be a real downer for the sport to see the best swimmer of the era be disqualified for this meet and perhaps the London Olympics.
Yeah, see, I'm from the standpoint of FINA did the right thing by taking this to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Look, it may have been a tainted supplement that he took, and who knows on that part. But the fact is, if you look at what has been done over time, you have to be accountable for what shows up in your blood test, and a slap on the wrist is just not going to do it. Yeah, Osmaluli took the Adderall because he was trying to stay up for studying. He had to serve a suspension there. He also had world titles taken away. I just have a hard time seeing different standards set for different cases. There has to be, at some point, a uniform policy across the board.
Do you think if Cielo was disqualified from swimming not only in Shanghai but in London, that Phelps would be more enticed to swim the 100 free?
No. And because, if I have this right, the 200 butterfly interferes, I believe, with that race. And I think there's a 200 IM conflict in there somehow as well. And I don't think either of those two races will be given up for the 100 free.
I know. I really think he wants to swim that 100. I just think he looks at the landscape and says, I cannot win that 100. I cannot beat Cielo, let alone some of the other guys. But maybe if one of the top dogs was out, more enticing. But you're right. I mean, scheduling conflicts, it'd be tough to see him giving up one of his babies for an event that's a little dicey. Do you expect last year's momentum for Lochte to carry over, that he's the swimmer of the year this year?
That's one that I've been bouncing back and forth in my head for a while now. Is he capable of it? Yeah, and I think he's going to have a better meet than he did at Pan Pacs, so then that would reason that, okay, he is the #1 guy again. I just have a feeling that even though Michael lost a couple 200 fly races this year, we're going to see Michael throw down a gauntlet here to a degree. Like not quite what he did in Melbourne to set the stage for Beijing, but I do think he's going to really impress here. Now that said, one of the races I'm looking forward to big time, the 200 IM. I have Ryan edging Michael there. However, I got Michael edging Ryan in the 200 free. So I think it'll be a little bit of back and forth. I think Ryan's star is going to continue to shine. He's going to get noticed more, but at an international level in terms of outside of people who know our sport.
But you seem to believe that Phelps, while he wasn't exactly all in for 2009, 2010, that it wasn't that Lochte surpassed his greatness. He was better because Phelps wasn't trying as hard. Now Phelps is going to kick it in, and by next year, you think he'll be back on top as the best swimmer in the world?
I think if Michael can get back to his peak form, that Michael Phelps is the best swimmer in the world. That doesn't mean that Ryan Lochte is not going to keep improving. I think that's the case. And I think it could go down to, you're going to have to look at things on an event-by-event basis now. But I have Michael walking away from these World Championships with 100, 200 fly victories and a 200 free victory.
A 200 free is going to be a hell of a race.
That's going to be awesome. I can't wait. That's the race I cannot wait for more than any. I know so much has been talked about in terms of Taewon Park and Sun Yang going head-to-head in that 400 freestyle and potentially seeing 339 on the board for the first time. But that 200 freestyle, to me, in terms of top flight power, when you look at guys like Phelps, Lochte, Park, Biderman, Yannick Agnel, it's going to be awesome. I mean, we're talking some serious swimming just to get out of the semifinals. I have no idea what it could take to make the final there, but you better not sleep on anything.
We're definitely not going to see as many world records as we saw in Rome in 2009.
Thank God.
But would you say we see 5?
No, I don't think we'll see that. I think the 2 that we will see will be, and I don't think I'm going outside of anybody's surprise here, with Rebecca Soni in the 200 breaststroke. To me is the one that has the strongest chance of falling, and then the 200 IM on the men's side I see as the number 2 shot, because those 2 guys, Phelps and Lochte, will be dueling it out there. And then just because of how close Sun Yang came to Hackett's 1500 record, I think that is a very good shot at going. My one concern there is that's on the last day of competition. How much energy will Sun Yang have expended at that point?
The only relay that you have the American women winning is the medley relay.
Right.
I'm a little surprised. I don't think they have a shot at that relay unless Rebecca Soni gives them a body length lead. What do you think?
And maybe I'm going to be completely off base, but here's what I kind of like out of that. I could see the Americans putting Missy Franklin on the front of that thing, even though she's swimming the 200 backstroke there. But maybe if they go that route, that puts Natalie Coughlin on the end of it. You got Vollmer on the fly leg, Soni, who should have a sizable edge in that breaststroke, and I think that foursome can beat anybody out there.
On the men's side, you have the Americans winning everything except for the 400 free relay. You say this is France. France is finally going to get it done.
400 medley relay, actually, I went France, which is the stunner. I actually have the U.S. winning the 400 free relay. It's the 400 medley that I have them.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It was, my bad on that one. 400 medley. That does qualify as a stunner. Now, is that because Pearsall's retired and we just don't have that hammer on the front that we used to have?
I have a feeling there. I think Camille Lecour is going to give them a sizable edge. And I know this is going to be a front half versus back half relay. But I'm looking, and I think Nick Thoman's going to have a nice meet, and I do think he'll be the guy leading off. And part of me wanted to say maybe the U.S. would play with Lochte on the front of that, but he'll have a 400 IM earlier in the night. So say Thoman or Plummer goes on the front of the relay. I think Lecour gives them a pretty good edge. DeBosque, whether it's Gangloff or Alexandra, he should be able to hang there. So that's going to be, if not give France a bigger lead. So then the pressure comes down to Phelps having to eat up a lot on the butterfly leg. For some reason, I have a feeling that Fred Bousquet is going to give France a pretty darn good fly leg. And, maybe this is one of my dumber picks, and I'll sit here and tell you it very well could be. I just had a feeling that that's going to be an awfully huge deficit to make up. But then again, Michael Phelps loves tracking people down, so maybe that's what he'll do on that fly leg.
I definitely think they'll be down by at least a body length. I think Phelps can make it up, but I think it's going to be a great freestyle leg. I mean, I think Nathan Adrian, again, will go head-to-head with Bernard or some stud from France, and it's going to be a heck of a race. That would be the first time the U.S. has lost that medley relay to major international competition in, it's got to be, decades.
Yeah, I think if they went into it. Now, they didn't win the medley relay in Melbourne because they got DQ'd. But in terms of actually stepping up on the block and racing it, I'm drawing a blank on when that would have been the last time.
Wow, there would be some high drama there if that happened.
Sure would.
That's one they just take personally, I think.
Yeah.
Any major surprises you see coming out of this, or a new star being born at this meet? That, you know, there's always that person that has the good meet the year before the Olympics, and all of a sudden they jump on the radar, and we have to pay attention to them for next year.
Yeah, and I don't know if it counts as a surprise because so many people are talking about him, but this is Sun Yang's opportunity to really establish himself as the premier distance freestyler in the world. Now, I have him losing to Taewon Park in the 400 free in a really tight race, but he should come out of there, you know, silver 400 free. I mean, he's got a shot at gold. He should win the 8 and the 1500. He's going to do it in front of his home nation. Talk about setting the stage for some hype. That's what Sun Yang can do here.
John, it's going to be fun. Just viewer note, we're going to have you on every single day after the World Championships. It'll be early in the morning here in the States, but sort of later in the evening for you. I'm going to get you on Skype, recap what happened that day in Shanghai. We'll do it every single day of the meet. Looking forward to it, John.
That sounds great, Peter.
All right, that's John Lohn joining us in the Finis Monitor. That is it for today's show. We'll see you starting Sunday for our World Championship coverage. I'm Peter Bush, reminding you to keep your head down at the finish.